Welcome back, guys, to another video. So today I'm bringing you a Shopify React customization app. So we're going to be customizing Shopify storefront using React. So this is the demo app. So we're using React Redux on this project. So if I come here on Hoodies, we're getting the hoodies from the Shopify store, and this is deployed on Netlify. So these are the hoodies coming up, and then we can see all these hoodies right here. And then I come to jeans, so we come to jeans, so it's fetching that. So while it's fetching, I have sort of like a preloader so that it shows that. So this was just for good user experience, so that they know that this thing didn't break, it's just still fetching. So my network, as you can see, my network is failing me, so I don't know what's happening with my network, but then yeah, now it's back up, so hopefully it's not breaking on the jeans only. So there I had a bit of a network problem. So now if I come to cart, let's see if we have any cart items. So I come here to cart items, so I can see that I have this, so I can delete that item from the cart, and then that is automatically refreshed there. So this is not me handling those refreshes, that is Netlify handling those refreshes. So I can also come here and add a new cart item, so I can say there, and then I add that. So it's 600, I expect 1.2, so I see that, and then I see 1200. So I'm using R for rands because I'm in South Africa. So yeah, so basically this is the app that we are going to be building, and we can check out, but then this won't work because I'm using a trial version. So if I wasn't using a trial version, everything is literally set up to check out, and this link should have worked if this wasn't a trial version, and it would literally work. So, and I'll show you guys how to do things like that and everything. So if you guys are keen for that, please like, share and subscribe. This really keeps me motivated to bring you more builds like this. So the homepage, we did nothing fancy. The main aim was handling the Shopify and all those products. The rest is up to you guys. So if you guys are keen, before we get started, press that like button. Let's get this video to at least 10 likes, guys. So let's get started. So how we get started with this is we'll need you to create a Shopify account. So I've already created a Shopify account, and then once you create the Shopify account, you will be in your dashboard. So you'll enter here, press apps, and then when you press on your apps, so I won't do that because you guys will be seeing the API keys for this one, which I don't want you guys to see that. So you guys can press apps, and then after pressing apps, you scroll down, you'll see more products, you'll see more apps and something like that. And then once you see more apps, and I'll give you a link to this one which says how to get what's this. So I normally use this, how to get Shopify store access token, right? So this link will definitely show you how to get Shopify store access token. So the steps that I was talking about is you go to your apps, and then you scroll down, you'll see manage private apps, and then you create a private app. So this will be the process whereby you do that, and then once you do that, you will come here to create a private app. And then let's just test run this. I'll just write that, and then for email I'll write say test at gmail.com, and then right here this is what we need. And then here for the products, we don't need the admin API permissions. What we want to do is we want to allow this app to access the storefront. You click on that, and then you do that, you do that, and then you save. So the moment you save, that will generate you an API key. So once that generates an API key, that's what we want. So you guys should copy this storefront. Hold on. So you guys should copy this one which says storefront access token. That's what you want to copy. So already I've copied everything within my app, so I can close this now. And I've already added products because I'm sure you guys didn't want to see me add products because it's a bit of work. So I'm sure you guys didn't want to see me do that. So we can close that, so you guys can use that and then have that stored. So what we'll be using mainly is the Shopify Buy SDK. This is what we need to interact with our storefront. But then for now, I've already started with the create React app, so there's nothing fancy here. I just created the styles, and then here I just created this. So I'm using Atom today. I'm not using VS Code because my VS Code has been lagging, so I just want to see how Atom does and see if it will give me a better experience. So basically I've copied my Shopify storefront API key, and then you will need to also use your what we call your shop name. So this will get to this when we get to the part of Shopify, but then right now we need to get the layout of this app, and then we'll get to Shopify. So now let's start our React app. So I can close this terminal. So I only ran create React app, and then I just clean up. So you guys can also do that, clean up, or yeah, do that. So just cleaned up all those other things. The rest is just normal React app, and I just customized, added this part only. So now let's get this layout. First, it shouldn't be that much hectic. So now what we need for this is we need material UI. So let us get material UI. We need the icons, we need this icon, we need that icon, that and that and that and that, right? So we come to material UI and we get that done. So we say icons, and then we grab that, and then once we grab that, we come to search the full list of these icons, and then that localhost is now spinning up. So let's just go back to icons, and then we search for search, and then that should come up right now. So my material UI was just lagging a bit there. So now we copy that. So now what we need right here is we need to create a new component. So here we'll say new folder within the source, and then I'll say components. So it's a bit weird, man, like using Atom, because I'm used to VS Code a lot. So let's see how it goes for me, guys, and let's see how it goes. So again, guys, if you're liking this video, so where's add new folder? Okay, so new folder. So I want to add, so I'm liking the way of setting up things like this with regards to my with regards to my apps. So here we add on the home, we want to add the navigation bar.jsx, and then we added that. Okay, so that was a new folder, man. I didn't want to add a new folder. I'm sorry for that, guys. So it's a new thing for me, guys, so bear with me. So now I want to add navigation bar.jsx, and that is added here. And I also want to add the home.jsx, so that we have the right. So what we need to do is we need to import React from React. So if you guys know about snippets on Atom on React, please comment down below. I would really appreciate that. So navigation bar is equal to, and then I want to return some JSX, and then that will be, so here I would say hopefully this works. Say navigation bar. Okay, so this doesn't work, so we have to do things manually. So we say navigation bar. Okay, so it auto completes. That's nice. So we'll say class name, and in the class name we'll say navigation bar. And then what we want is, for now, okay, so it doesn't auto complete that. Okay, so what did I do there? So we say an h1. For now we say navigation bar. Right, so we save that. So now we want to take this to that. So RACE doesn't work, so we'll say import React from React, and then we say const home is equals to that, and then we return, and then we want a div that will bring in the navigation bar. So here we'll import okay, so we will import from the home directory. I want to import the navigation bar, and I need the navigation bar, so I bring that navigation bar right here, and then now we take that navigation, that home component, to this side. So I don't know, guys, how I should feel about Atom, but then so far it's not been lagging for me, so I kind of like that. But then I hate the fact that it is not giving me like full intelligence, like auto completions, like like Visual Studio Code, because Visual Studio Code did a lot of heavy lifting for me. So it says it cannot resolve component home and all that. So why is it saying that? Oh yeah, so I have to go in again, say home, like that. Import error is not exported. So yeah, so that is another thing, because I forgot to export the home and I forgot to export the navigation bar. So now this should work now. So this is now proper, right? So here we have that navigation bar, right? So now we need to copy this search icon. So that which I just did right here with VS Code, I would have done it in seconds, guys, but then it's fine as long as I have a running IDE or text editor, to be precise, that doesn't constantly freeze, because my VS Code always froze on me, so I really didn't like that. So now we're grabbing those icons, and then I also need this icon. So I really didn't like that freezing, guys. It was honestly bad, like honestly bad. Like my productivity rate was declining. So hopefully with Atom it'll be nice. If it doesn't go nice, I'm dropping down to Notepad++, and I might end up going to Vim. So hopefully it doesn't get to that point. So we grab that, and then this should be all the icons that we need for our layout. So we can save that, and then we can close this. So right here we need to so we can close that. So right here we need to install Material UI. So we'll say yarn add material. So my terminal, I love my terminal. So we add Material UI icons and Material UI core. So I'm using yarn, but then you guys can run npm install, should serve the same purpose, right? So while that is installing, let's get the layout. So I don't want to write like navigation bar. Let's just say nav. Just say nav. I think it's way much more proper, like nav for me. And okay, what did I just do there? So instead of div, I'm currently training my mind to use a lot of semantic tags. So if I forget even throughout this tutorial, please don't bash me there. Don't worry, it's just me trying to train my mind. So right here we have that navigation bar, right? So what we want to do is, now within here I believe I can use div, and within this div, what do I want to do? I want to say class name of that should be nav top, and then I need another div that will be class name saying nav bottom, right? So what is happening here is, if you look at this demo here, we have the top part and the bottom part. So that's where the structuring is coming from, right? And then from there we have another div. Okay, so that is not working, so I have to find a way of shortcut. So we have another div, and then we'll say class name, and that should be nav top and then left, right? And then we have another div as well, which is having a class name of nav top right. So where is this coming from? We have the left part and then the right part, right? So let's insert the things that we need on the left part. So on the left part we need the language icon. No, not the language icon. is it? Let's see. So yeah, we need that globe, the globe thing. So it is the language icon. So we need the language icon, my bad for that. And then we also need an H4. An H4 that would say English, and then say South Africa. So you guys will write your country and all that, and if you're not English, you write whatever that language and all that you support for your website. Hopefully you'll translate. And then there, for the next one, we need the help outline icon, and then we need an H4 that would say customer support. So that should be the layout for the top part. And then for the bottom, what we need, we also need the nav bottom left and the nav bottom right. So that's what we do. So we'll say a div, and this should be having, so let me close this side here. So this should be having a class name, say nav bottom left, and this should be having another class name saying nav bottom right. So on the nav bottom left, right, we have what can you say, we have a div also, which is containing a class name, and then we can say this is nav, and then we say b left, and then we say company name, right? And then here we'll have an say h2 that would say Hlongwane boutique. I would say Hlongwane boutique. And then on that, so why the b for bottom, so I hope you guys notice that. So here we structure that like this. So say class name, and then we say nav b left, and this is the inventory, I would say clothes categories, right? And then in here we'll add h4s, and then we'll say hoodies. We'll add another h4, that is jeans. We add another h4, and that is sneakers, right? So now that is basically the left part, so it's like that. And then the right part, we have this search icon having that, so that it's in its own container, I mean. So we do that, and then we give that a class name saying nav b right, and then we say search, and then in here we need that search icon, and then we'll have an h4 which will say search, and then from there I have another h4. I'm sure you guys saw the pipeline there, that is for separation that, and then we need a favorite border icon. We need what we call the shopping cart icon, and then finally we need the avatar. So the avatar, we get it, we will say import, and then this is from at material dash UI core, and then you need the avatar. Hopefully this is proper. So this is what I'm not liking about Atom, the intelligence of imports. It's not giving me, so it needs me to remember this thing. So for source, this is what it's taking as a property, and it's also taking an alt, and we save that. So this should be the layout. So let's run our app again, because I was not running it because of installing things. So we have that layout. So while that is opening, right, so we can close that app.jsx, And then now, okay, so where's that menu bar not opening, guys? So there's another thing about open project folder. Okay, so guys, I'm a bit lost here on my Atom. So this is the struggle of having a new IDE. Okay, so that is for Git, man. Like, that is for that other side. Okay, here's the other project folder. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we have that project folder. That was like here. So now what we want to do from here, I even forgot what I wanted to do. Okay, so we have that project running up. So here we can close this React app. So now what did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to create a style sheet. So yeah, so yeah, we want to create a style sheet. So now we'll say this is for navigation bar.css. So I'll copy this to avoid me from like retyping that on my own. So I don't know if Atom allows this, but then this is what I want to do. Okay, it does allow that, so I wanted to do that. So right now I want to import my style sheet. So we import. Okay, so we need to see the project structure. So here components rather have to go up, and then I have to go up one more time, and then I think I should be right there right now, styles. So this is another thing that I don't like about Atom. It's not giving me things that I want because I need to be shown. So but then I guess it helps for knowing and remembering how things are done. So I forgot an H there, so now that should bring out that H there. So now everything is looking like this, but it's not looking like that header. So now let's start with the styling. So how do we style this? So we grab the parent, which is the nav, right, which is housing the nav top, and it's also housing the nav bottom. So now we do that, and then on that nav, what we do is we say display flex, and then I wanna flex flow. So you see this is giving me autocomplete, but then on the JSX I need a support for JSX, to be honest. So flex flow column, and then that should still be like this, nothing different. And for now let's keep it like that, right? So now let's work with the nav top. Oh yeah, before I do that, what I want to do is I want to have the top to be a 0%. I want to have the Z index to be 999. I want to have a position sticky. I want to have a position sticky, and I want to have a background color, a background color of white. So this is like something that obviously won't be visible, but then it will be visible as we move forward. So now the nav top, right? So I want to display flex. I want to justify content space between. I want to align item center. So now that should be visible. Now we have both those going out there. So now what we want to do is let's start on the left, right? So on the left, what do? Is we grab that, and we now say display flex for me, and then align items center for me. All right, so we've aligned those items center, and let's see what's happening here. So we've aligned those items center, and then now I also want to do the same for the right. So basically I won't be retyping this. Always keep your source code as dry, right? And we have that aligned centered, right? So now what I really want to do on the parent, the nav, I want a padding, say 1 rem, and that should do for me, I believe. We'll see as we go. So I'm keen to see what it will do if I remove that align item. So yeah, so I really do need that align items, right? So now what do? Is we now want to grab on the left, nav top left, let's give this a class name saying nav and then T left, which will be for top, and then T left, and then we give it the link, right? So we do that. So what do you want to do with this is I want to margin left, say 1 rem, right? So that's what I want to do. So 1 rem is a lot, so say 0.5, right? 0.5 rem should be enough for me. And then what do I want to do is I also want to margin right the question icon. So now we come here to the help icon container, the component, we give it a class name saying nav t right dash, no, this is not a link but then an icon, right? So we grab that, and then I want to margin right that, say 0.8 rem as well, right? So we have that spacing between now this two, and then we're looking a bit decent, right? So now let's come to the bottom part. So now before we do that is on the nav top, I want to give it a border bottom, say 1 pixel, solid light gray, right? So we have that border there. And then what I want to do is I'm thinking if I give a padding on this one, say that 1 rem, what's happening here? Oh yeah, I need the semicolon, right? So if I give that padding there, so it didn't make a difference, I expected this. Okay, let's continue, let's see what happens, right? So let's come to the nav bottom, right? So the nav bottom, so the nav top, this is basically the CSS for that, and then we might refactor that as we go. So now we come to the nav bottom, right? So we display flex for that, and then we also justify content space between, we align item center, and we do that, right? So nav bottom, okay, so my CSS is not getting applied. Do you guys see that? My CSS is not getting applied. How weird. How weird is that? Okay, so why didn't it want me to refresh? I don't know why it wanted me to refresh, guys. I don't know. So now we have that working, right? So I believe the padding now from the nav top, so I wanted to test this out, so let's see that. So we have that, not the same behavior obviously, or unless it wants me to refresh. Okay, so we don't have the same behavior. So what then do we do? This tells me that I have to padding on the nav top container itself, but then not the nav container. So I don't need the padding here, I need the padding on the top container. And then same applies here. I'll padding that and give it a 1 rem so that it's we have contents which are aligned. As you guys can see, I want that alignment between this content, right? So now let's start with this thing, right, which is the left side. So we say on the left side, I want to have a display of flex. I want to align item center. I want to justify content, which I'll definitely remove, which I'm sure it won't work. I'm not sure about that, about it not working. So we keep it like that, right, which is fine by me. And then now let's also grab the nav right, because I'm also going to do the same thing, so I don't want to repeat the same CSS, keeping things dry, right? So if things being like this and so on and so forth, right? So what do we do now? We now go back to the left. So what we need is we need this container right here, right? So okay, just give me a quick second glance on this. Okay, so what we need is now this one, right? the categories one, right? So that's what we wanted to do. We want to display flex on this, we want to align item center on that, and then we have things looking like that, right? And then I want to margin left, say 1 rem. We have that moving like that, and then right here I give everything a class. Hopefully this works. Okay, so this works. So this was me just trying. So at least I like this. So I want to give this a class name saying nav b left, and then c, okay, nav b left, and then let's just say links. Let's not complicate things, right? So we have that. So what do we do with this? I want to margin left each and every one by 1 rem again, right? So we have that now, much good spacing right there. You guys see that? So that's what we achieved there. So now what do we do is, I don't like the font weight of this things being the same as my what we call my brand name. So I come here, say font weight, and I give it a 400, right? So reducing that font weight, and I should also reduce the font weight of this, right? So but then we'll come to that. Let's just continue with the bottom part. So now what we want to do is, now we want to come to this end point, which is these things, right? So how do we do this, right? So now we first grab this one, which is its own container, and then we display flex, we align item center, and we have that looking like that. So but then now for this one, we want to margin right, say 1 rem, right? To move that like that. And then now what we want to do is we give a class name for this things, right? So we'll say class name, and the class name should be nav b right and link. So I believe I should give the same for this things, but then obviously these things are icons, right? So we'll change the link to icons, right? So but then they'll be housing the same CSS, I believe. If that is not the case, we'll obviously refactor. So we'll have to margin right, not left. We margin right, say 1 rem, and that moved like that. And we also want to grab for icons, we say nav be right, and then icons, right? It's icons, not icons, right? So that is not having an effect. Or do I have the wrong? I left the T, so it should be B right, and then we have that CSS. Now there's a good spacing between everything, right? So now this thing shouldn't be bold as this, and this shouldn't be bold as this, right? So now let's come to that boldness part, which I'm not liking. So we start with the nav T left link. So let's look for the nav T left link. So we give it a font. Let's not forget the semicolon. So we give the font weight of 400, and the customer support, we give it a class name saying nav T right link, and we want to give that a font weight of 400 as well. And then finally the search one, right, which will be a class name of the nav b right, and then search text. Let's just say search text. All right, and then we come down there for this one, and you can just put it right at the bottom here on the search container itself, and then we give it a font weight of 400. So now I believe everything should be having a text that is not bolder as this one. So now we have our thing looking proper. So, but then as you can see, this has a box shadow. So I'll be grabbing we'll inspect elements. So we grab the box shadow property for this, so that we have that similar box shadow. So we do that, and where is this thing? So navigation bar, so we grab that box shadow, right? So where do we put it? We put it right at the top of that nav bar, right? So we should be having that box shadow. So now you see we have something like identical to what you guys are seeing right here, right? So now what then do we do with this thing is we now want to see or grab this image, not see, because now basically the layout. Okay, so we need these things and we need this last add-ons, right? So let's get those done, right? So now let's get this add-ons done, right? So now what do we do is this thing is the nav b left link. So let's look for the nav b left links. So the b is right here, right? So now we say nav b left links, but then now we want the hover of that. So we'll say hover, and on hover we want to say border bottom of 1 pixel solid black, right? So that's what we want. Did I write solid properly? Okay, so now, okay, this is the demo. So let's see. Okay, so this is not working on our end. Or does this want me to refresh? Okay, so this is just not working, right? So why isn't that working? Let's see. So the nav b left, I want a cursor and then give it a pointer and not forget the semicolon. So let's start there so I can cursor that. So now why is the now hover on the nav b left links? So nav b, oh, so it's not left. So I forgot here. I'm sure you guys saw that. So here I wrote as that. So here I also need to add that t, because it was not actually left. I'm sure you guys saw that. I also have to save this one, right? So now this should work, right? So now we have that hover and then we have that border there. So now we come here on the other ones. So here what I want to do is also want to give this one a cursor pointer, and I want to give the icons, these things, also a cursor pointer. However, I shouldn't forget that semicolon here. So now we have that cursor pointer there. Alright, that's perfect. So, but now what we want to achieve is, now when I hover on this should turn gray, right? So now that should be simple. We say nav b right of the link and then the hover, and also the nav b right of icons and hover of that, and that means that I want to have a color of light gray, right? So hopefully that works. So it works for this ones, but then not for that one, right? So now that one, because it's its own entity, so now we come here, we say nav b right search on hover. I want to have a color of light gray, right? So now that should work now, right? So now basically this is the layout, but then let's test it out if it works on the what we call the things that we said it should be position sticky. So let us see if that will work, and things go underneath. So we'll say h1, and then we'll say hello world, right? So we'll need to copy that, paste that, paste that, paste that, paste that. So let's just paste that. Let's see how it does. So things, it's not scrolling inside, so I don't know if that's okay. So why was this pasting like that? So you see something that this text editor is misbehaving. Okay, so let's worry about it. Let's not worry about it. Let's just worry about pasting tons of stuff right here. Right, let's just worry about pasting tons of hello world. So it's not sticking with me, which is a problem, because it should be sticking with me, right? So now what do we do? Let's come here to components, home, and then navigation bar, and then let's open that CSS. Let us see what is happening here, because this should be sticking with me. So set top should be 0, we said z index 999, we said position sticky. I believe that should allow me to have that stick with me. I don't know if I'm missing something, guys. I don't know if I'm missing fundamentals here. I don't know if my fundamentals are missing, but either way, that navigation bar is not the main point of this app. Then if I find out what's happening, I'll definitely resolve that. So but then let's move on. So basically we have the navigation bar 99% done. The only thing that is left is for that to be sticky, and we should be having a 100% done navigation bar, but then let's not worry about that. So now let's just grab this image. So I'll say save image as, and we'll copy that image, and then I go to my project folder so that I can house that there, so it makes it easy for me to grab it. Come to the Shopify React, I come to the client, I come to the source, and then I make a new folder saying assets, and then I put that there, and then I change the name to be banner.jpg, and that should be inside, right? So I needed this because I don't know what's happening on that one. Maybe I'm missing my fundamentals. So on the home, we want to create a new component, and then we'll say banner.jsx. So in the banner.jsx, we're going to import React from React, and then I will say const capital letter banner, and we want to say return to me an image, right? Because we're only having one. I doubt I need a div, guys, so things like this we don't need a div. Return to me an image, and then source. So let us import a banner image from, we go up like that, and then we come to assets, and then I grab the banner.jpg. If I'm not mistaken, that should be the route, and then I say banner image, and then the alt should be the home banner. Let's just say home banner, right? Let's just see if we get that inside. So now we have to take this thing to the home component, and then what we do is we say banner. So I also have to export this thing, and not forgetting that, export that, and I come to the home, and we say import from that wanna import banner, and import banner, right? So if I did not make any errors, there we go. Right, so now this is working with the image. Why wasn't it working with the text? It's weird. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Alright, so one thing that I don't like is one thing that I've always liked right these days, the scroll behavior to be smooth, and the scroll width, the width the scroll, I think it's width, guys, I don't know, scroll width, or it's scroll bar. Hectic. I think it's scroll bar width, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let me just quick Google search. Scroll bar width. Alright, so scroll bar width like that. Okay, so it's scroll bar width like this, but then it's not working. Right here it's not working, as you guys can see. For me it's not working. Why? Okay, so I just wanted to remove that scroll bar. You guys can see now that scroll bar is not there, but then why is my atom not recognizing this? I don't know, guys, it's weird. So nowadays I'm just enjoying like removing that scroll bar. It looks smooth for me, right? So now let's just close the home. We want to deal even this one, let's give it a class name, saying class name, let's say home burner, right? So I don't need to make its own CSS, but it's best practice making its own CSS for maintenance and all that. So let's just focus on making best practices. So burner.css, and then let's bring in the burner so that we can import that. So we will say import, we go up like that, and then styles, and then we say burner.css, and then we bring in that CSS here. And then one thing that I want to do is I want to say width 100%. We have that being 100%, and basically this is what I did on that website as well. I never like paid much detail to this because that is not the main point of the tutorial. So basically now we have the home layout properly. As you guys can see, we have that laid out properly. So we're done. So now let's come to the fun part, the part which I'm guessing you guys have been waiting for, the Shopify by SDK, right? So now what we need to install before we get to the Shopify by SDK, we need to install some few dependencies, right? So we'll say yarn add, we'll add Shopify by SDK. So the good thing is this thing is remembering my stuff. So we add Shopify by, and then we add React Redux, we add Redux, we add Redux Dunk, we add React Router. So this is the dependencies that we'll be using. So let's add that. So now let's see what we need. So what we need, we already done yarn add. You guys will do npm if you have npm or yarn. So now we installed this like that and all that. So now what we need to do is, okay, so see, so when I click on hoodies, I'm fetching hoodies alone. So I've made collections on my Shopify store, so that it's simple. So you guys can surely get to do that. If you guys can program, obviously you guys can find out how that is done about adding collections. So now what we need to do is we need to grab collections and then grab their IDs, because on each and every page we want to grab a jeans collection, we want to grab a sneakers collection. So now let's see how the documentation shows on how to fetch collections, right? So yeah, this is how you fetch all collections, but then you can also fetch collections by ID. So first thing that we want to do is we want to fetch collections like that so that we can get their IDs, right? So how do we achieve this? So before we make things a bit complicated, let's add this to the home page so that we can just grab on use effect, we grab each and every ID, and then now we can complicate things by now grabbing things via Redux, right? So we say use effect, and then on that we bring things like that, and remembering on the app.jsx. Okay, let's make things on the app.jsx. It will be easy because I already have the client there because I'm lazy to. We come here and then let's bring up this client, and then let's import client from Shopify-by, and then we include the use effect, and then here we say use effect, and then we include that, right? So now let's see what this does for us, because we need to grab the content. So hopefully my app is still running. Okay, it was still running, I never closed it. So now let's see, here are the IDs that we need. So let's just bring that up so you guys can see we're having this like this. So we're having, okay, so let's see. So this is what we get on this thing. So the handle here is hoodies. So this is the hoodies one. So we need to grab this ID for hoodies, right? So this is the IDs that you grab. So you guys will grab the ID that you guys have for your whatever collection. So we grab that like that, and then we just make a comment, and then we say hoodies ID. This is what we're gonna be using. Okay, so we paste that ID. Alright, so now let's come to the next ID. Let's close this one, so we know that this one should be another collection. So, but then let's see what collection. So this is the jeans collection. So now we aim to grab this ID, right, and copy that. So we'll even test to make sure that things are working fine. So we'll say jeans before we move on, because the moment we have this done, then the rest is basically easy, like, and all that. So now we have that done, and then we know that for sure this one is the sneakers. So we grab that sneaker ID, and we'll say sneakers ID. We paste that there, right? So now we have basically all the collection IDs, right? So but then now let's remove the way we are fetching these collections. Now let's fetch by IDs. Always documentation is your best friend. So we can close this. So by documentation, as documentation says, we can grab by collection ID like this, and then let's bring it up like that. So I'm just doing this so that you guys can see that docs will, it is very clear. I've never seen documentation so clear like this, to be honest with you guys. So we grab like that, but then we need to make this that, so we don't need to tell it how many to take. It should take as many as it finds. So now let's go back to our React app. Let's open that console. Let us see what's happening. So let us refresh the page. So we make sure that it's grabbing content. So as you guys can see, the production connection, whatever, blah 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 blah. So it did grab content, and this content, how we can see that this is hoodies. Let's just see the title. So as you guys can see, so hold on. What ID did I grab? I grabbed this one. This is for sneakers. So as you guys can see, the trainers, after that trainers, that is what I remember naming that for one of the sneakers. So now we know that, okay, that ID is working. So now we can remove this ID. Let's add another ID. Let's add this one. This should be for the jeans, and then let's put it inside. So yeah, we're just making sure that everything is working. So let's just clear also this thing, so that the moment I save here, when it refreshes, it gets me a clean slate. And then let's see. Alright, so I just checked the title, and then black ice. I remember naming one of those as jeans. So yeah, I remember naming one, yeah, unisex curry jeans, right, black ice. Why black ice? I don't know, guys. So this seems to be working and all that. So finally, let's just check for the hoodies, and the hoodies should also work as well. And there we go, we are getting those hoodies. So we come here, let's just get description, unisex hoodie, right? So basically we are getting everything with this IDs, right? So we can now remove this use effect. It's no more useful to us, but then those IDs will definitely save and have them right there. Right, so now this is the IDs that we need. So now let's start with our Redux creation, right? So because I used Redux for this, I'm just gonna be showing you how I created that as well. So now on the src we say store. We want to create a store, and then within that store I want to create actions, and within that store I also want to create reducers, and finally I want to create the main store.js, right? So now how do we do this? We say import from Redux, or maybe Redux will be a huge kill, or maybe Redux will be a huge kill for this project. Maybe Redux will honestly be a huge kill and making things complicated. I want to keep things as beginner friendly as possible. So if you guys want me to add Redux, show you how you could add Redux to this thing, comment down below and I will definitely show you guys how to add Redux. Or let me just give this a quick thought. So yeah, Redux should be an overkill, so it's really not important, right? So yeah, Redux is an overkill. So let's just forget about Redux. Let me just show you guys in the most basic way possible without adding Redux, right? So let's just kill that store. So now what we want to do is we want to, in the components, we want to make a new folder, right? This should be for product, right? And there we want to make hoodies.jsx, and we want to make another folder here saying jeans.jsx. We want to make another folder called sneakers.jsx, right? So okay, I'm used to this there, so let's just kill certain things. So now let's start with hoodies, right? So import React from React, and now import, because here we'll need to use the Shopify so that we can get the content. Say Shopify buy, and then we say const hoodies, like that, and we return, and then now we want to have a div whereby we'll say class name is equal to products, right? So from here, let's go to the app, let's grab the hoodies ID, right? I grab that hoodies ID and I can just paste it here, and then I need the client config, so we grab this, we copy this and I paste it there. So now what then do? We need the use effect, right? We'll say use effect. So now on this use effect, what do you want to do is we say use effect. So now we go to the documentation. I think documentation is client, so let's just go there so that you guys can see. So here it says client.collection.fetch with products, and then we can add the collection ID, right? So we say client.collection.fetch with product. Hopefully let's just see the case sensitivity. So it's fetch with product, so client.collection.fetch with product, and then here we can paste the collection ID. So now what we do is here we can say const collection ID is equal to, and then I can grab that collection ID, I paste it there, and then I call in the collection ID. We just bring it within here. So say collection ID, and this will return back to us a promise. So we'll say dot then, and then we'll say response, just say res, and then for now let's log out that res, and if there's any errors, we want to catch all those trailing errors, and then we log those errors, right? So now that should be that, and then we'll say h1, let's say product, right? So now let's set up our React router so that when we go to that, we go to that, so on and so forth. So say import, and then from React router DOM, I want browser router as router, and then we want the switch, we want the route. So now we set that up. So knowing that the React router doesn't take classes, we can somehow remove that, and then we'll say router, and then we say router, and then we come here, we give the switch, and we come here, say route, and then we bring this home up. Okay, so that doesn't work, so we just bring this home within here, and we say path, because it takes in a path property, and an exact, which is a boolean, we say true, and that should work for us properly. So we make another route. On top of that, we say route, we say path, that should be products slash hoodies, and what we need here is we need two components. We need the header component, the navigation bar I mean, so which is the header either way. So we need to import that, so we'll say import from, and then let's see the structure, so close that for me so that I can visualize this properly. Okay, so from components, and within the home I need the navigation bar. Right, so hopefully I did it correctly, but then if I didn't, we'll see, guys. This is what I don't like about Atom. The auto completion of that should give me, it just makes life easy, man. So we also need hoodies, right? So we need import from, okay, so I also have to export, because I remember that I didn't export. Let's come back here, and then let's export this component, close that for good visualization. So we now also grab it from components, and we go to the product, and we go to the hoodies, right? So we want the hoodies, and we grab that, we paste that there, right? So hopefully there's nothing. So if it compiled properly, guess it's finding everything. So but then now we need to use the link in the navigation bar, so that we link the hoodies thing to go to the hoodies. So now we come here, we'll say import from React router DOM, we want to import the link. So we come here, I say link, okay, I say link, I grab that, I paste that there. So I'll say to /product/hoodies, right? Do it like that, bring it like that, and then I will give it a class name saying router link, right? So now that has compiled successfully, but then Why the class name of router link, you guys will see right now. So I gave it that a class name of router link, and then let's see if that use effect delete did work for me. So let's refresh this page, and it is getting my collection, I believe. So we say product, and the product is an array that we need, right? So now let's focus on this thing being black again. So why I gave it a class name of router link is just something that I like to do. Then I come to the app.css, and within the app.css I will say a class name of router link should have a text decoration of none and a color of black, right? And that is back to normal, right? So now let's see what we can do with that hoodies thing, and let's get back to that. Let's make a Css file which is product.css. So now we have that in place, and then we can bring this, not yet. So now let's import that. Let's say import, and then let's just visualize that structure. We go back, and I have to go back again, and then I say styles, and then I say product.css, right? So hopefully that should be it. So I'm having a problem, so I cannot find that. Let's visualize what's happening here. So we're in the it should be product, I believe. So yeah, it should be product, not product. So it was just a typo for me, right? So now we need also state handling, right? So we need also use state. So on that use state, we'll say const, and then we'll say product, and then we'll say set product, and then use state, and then make that an empty array, right? So now what happens is, let's see this thing, right? Let's see the logs that we're getting, right? So what we're interested in is this product array, and then we grab that. So basically the response has the dot product. So if I were to show you that, so if I say response dot product, that should come properly for me, right? So we can clear that, refresh that, so we see everything on a clean slate. So as you can see, we have now all those 4 products, right? So that's what we're interested in, right? So what we then do is we say set product to res.product, right? So we've now handled that properly. Now that's fine by me. So now what then do we do next is, yeah, so that you guys remember the loading that I did. So because we're not using Redux, we can do it like this, right? So I'll say, instead of this being an empty array, I can put this as null, right, to make the logic easy. So I can say if product is equal to null, I want you to return to me say an h3, and then you're saying fetching all hoodies, right? So this is a quick hack for making your loaders and all that. And then we bring that other else. So the else is when the what we call the thing is there, right? So if I were to show you guys that, so React state blah 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 indicates memory leak, don't worry about that. So if we were to refresh that, so say fetching all hoodies and then the products, right? So it means that those were found, right? So now what we then do is, obviously let's just console log again one more time so that we can see how the products are looking, because it will help us to select properties within there. So now we know that the loader is working for us, so that's a good user experience. So one could maybe have a GIF here that will be loading and spinning and all that, right? So now what then we do is, because already now we have a condition that this should only appear when the products are there, then we don't have to make a logic here. So all that we have to do is just scan through the product. But then I'm not liking what's happening here on this thing, and I believe this thing is re-rendering a lot. So what we do is we give it that, and this should take in a dependency called client, and let's say like that. All right, so as you guys can see now, this shows you React cookies effect as unnecessary dependency called client, either excluded or remove the dependency. Okay, so I always adhere to this thing's warning, so saying it's unnecessary, I'll trust the React team. So here I was just having a network error, hence it failed to go to my Shopify, but then now it's not worried about that. So now what we want to do is we want to display these things here within our app. So now let's just okay, so there's a lot happening within my terminal, so let's just one more time to get that console log, and there we go. All right, so now what I want to do is let's open this thing and then let's see what's happening. So one of this thing, basically they have the same structure, right? So what then do we do is we're looking for the image. So the image here, we have images, and that is an array. So what we can do is we can say, so I didn't need this, so what I can do is I can say in the product, so I can say div, and that div should be a class name of product underscore image, and in here we'll put the image and make that soft closing, and that should have product, because that is the products which we have here, dot image of 0.src, right? So I'm having a problem, right? The problem is I'm not mapping through that array, because remember I'm having an array, so I think I had disregarded that earlier, which was my bad there. So that's what I'm forgetting, right? So I have to say product dot map, and we'll say product, and we have to return some JSX, right? So within those JSX we'll say div, and within that div we'll give it a class name saying product underscore details, right? And then within that, let's give it another div, and then we say class name of product underscore image, and we now have that image here. Hopefully now this should work for us, right? So we do that, we say src, and here we say product dot images dot 0.src. So where am I getting this is we have images here, and within the images we're looking for the 0 with index, and then there's what we have. Okay, hold on, so it's 0, and then we have that src here, right? This is the link, right? So now if I were to save this, let's see if this will bug out on us. So it's not bugging out on us, we can see all those images are coming in, right? So now that is working for us. So now what we want to do is we want to now grab the handle. So it is as simple as handle. So this is the name of the product. So what we then do is we now say div, and then we say class name of this should be product underscore info, right? So now here we just want to have an have an h4, which would be products.handle, and let's see that working for us. As you guys, okay, so I'm not getting the handle, unless it wants me to refresh. Okay, so I'm not getting the handles. Okay, so let's see what's happening. So the key error that you guys were seeing there is here. I just have to say key, and then let's give, because I'm saying product instead of product, so I guess maybe that was the error there. So I have to give the key and then say ID, right? So we have now the handles. You guys can see all the handles are getting passed, right? So now finally we need also to see other things. So let's just open this console log one more time so that we can have those console log, and then we can close that so that when we save again it doesn't appear, right? So let's bring that up. Let's see 0. So what we need is the price, right? So where we're gonna get the price is if I'm not mistaken, variant, and then within the variant I have 0, and then right here what we have is the price, right? So I think there's also a full price, but then let's just grab the price, right? So it's basically variant 0 and then price. You guys, I hope you guys saw that whole hierarchy there. So we say in product dot a variant of 0 and then dot price, right? So that should have what we need. So you guys can see the price is now coming up. So basically is what we need for the product section of displaying. So the good thing is basically we can reuse this component all everywhere. So now what we need is and I believe best practice, I might be wrong, best practice is, say we pass in props to this thing, and when we pass in props to this thing should display the contents that we need instead of hard coding this props. So that could be a best practice, but then I've not tried it, but then thinking about it right now, that would be a good elegant solution. So right here, because we want to do this, we'll say rand and then use the string interpolation, and then we bring that like that, so we have that rand there. So now let's come to CSS, and then let's see how that would work for us. So now we have all products that we need, and I've imported that style sheet. So now this is basically, I think this should work. What's happening here? So I think if I were to grab this and say display flex for me, that should work, right? So now what then we do now is I just need to margin top this, say 5 frames, right?